Oh hey, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 secrets that Chanel doesn't want you to know. Shh. These are 5 things that a Chanel SA will probably never say to you while they're trying to sell you a Chanel bags, okay? Because some of these are a bit scandalous. So scandalous. So scandalous. A little bit raunchy, a little bit controversial, and they're all just somewhat downright interesting. And they're all just downright interesting. And they're all just downright interesting. And they're all just downright interesting, if you ask me. Let's get into it. So whether or not you are well versed in Chanel and its history, these may be of no surprise to you. You may be like, Caitlin, honey, I already knew that, okay? Me and my 30 Chanel bags already knew all that. And if you feel that way, please let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have learned something new today, also please let me know in the comments down below. Number 1, I'm starting with something that I think for the most part now is quite well known, but you're probably never gonna hear it spoken about at a Chanel store. And I think it's not really something that's spoken about at all. And I think in this time and day and age, it's very prevalent to talk about this because we are very much engrossed in pulling people up on their BS. What I'm wondering is, where do we draw the line, okay? Are we gonna be pulling people up on their BS even after they're dead? Or we're only coming for the living, okay? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Miss Coco Chanel was indeed a Nazi agent and a secret spy, allegedly. Bum, bum, bum. Now, during the Second World War, Chanel was cozying up, okay, getting freaky and intimate with a Nazi officer named, God help me, why do I do this? Hans Guthner von Dinklage. Dinklage. There is strong convincing evidence that she was also a Nazi intelligent and an anti-Semite. Now look, where there's smoke, there's fire. Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you can convince me otherwise, but in my mind, for the most part, the people that you choose to let them be inside you, you'd like to think that you share similar morals and values, right? Maybe not. For the most part, I feel like things like that, there's usually a common ground on, okay? How are you gonna date a Nazi officer and not have even a tiny bit of an affiliation with Nazi Germany or an agreement, or are in support of Nazi Germany? Drawing on American, German, French, and British archives, there is evidence to suggest that she went around on missions around Europe to recruit new agents. I'll have the articles linked down below if you want to have a little bit more of a read. However, in what perhaps is the most fascinating section in Sleeping with the Enemy, this sheds new light on Chanel's dealings with the famously tight-lipped Wertheimer family, which purchased a large stake of the business in the 1920s and controls the entire Chanel empire today. Remarkably enough, Wertheimers, despite Chanel's wartime behavior, ultimately decided to finance her re-establishment in France and eventually agreed to pay her bills for the rest of her life. To this day, the family refuses to discuss Coco Chanel. Are you still with me? Has your brain exploded? If so, pick it up off the floor, put it back together, and let's move on to number 2. The tea is hot. I'm in a weird mood. Can you tell I've had 5 hours sleep? Now, number 2, let me know where you stand on this. It's a touchy subject. The late Karl Lagerfeld, I remember when his passing occurred, it caused massive disruption. It made mainstream news headlines, but there was also a lot that came out, and a lot of people, I don't necessarily stand for this. I think there is a slight respect that you need to have for the dead, but there was a lot of people that did make it known and choose to write blog posts and articles and voice their opinion. They were glad that somebody like Karl Lagerfeld was dead. Let me know if you think the world's just going way too sensitive, or if you think there is some truth and there is a reason to be upset. I'm going to share with you some somewhat controversial quotes, some things that have been said. Let me know if any of these struck a chord with you, or if any of these upset you, or if you think the world is just getting a little bit too sensitive. On the Middleton sisters, he said, quote, "Kate Middleton has a nice silhouette. She is the right girl for that boy. I like that kind of woman. I like romantic beauties. On the other hand, her sister struggles. I don't like the sister's face. She should only show her back." This is also another quote from Karl Lagerfeld on women who complain about skinny models. "These are fat mummies sitting with their bag of crisps in front of their television saying that thin models are ugly. Fashion is about dreams and illusion, and no one wants to see round women. Whew. His opinion on Adele: she is a little too fat, but she has a beautiful face and a divine voice. He's also made controversial comments in regards to the Me Too movement, saying that if you are willing to be, I'm gonna have the quote left on screen, but something in regards to, look, these women come out 20 years later or something, now it's interesting, they've got something to say, and look, if you don't wanna get pulled around a bit or touched a bit, then don't be a model, go join a nunnery. Also, if you're enjoying today's video, I would really love it if you would consider sticking around, joining the fam, scrolling down, hitting that subscribe button, ringing my bell. We are a luxury disease ridden family, and we're also a gang as of lately. Bang, bang. 3, this doesn't just go for Chanel, I think this goes for a lot of fashion design houses in general. Designer sunglasses have the highest markup at retail by far. Think 800% in some cases. And a lot of the time, almost all designer brands are produced by the same 2 or 3 manufacturers. Have a think about that next time you try on a beautiful, expensive AF pair of sunglasses, and think to yourself, could I find a similar pair, like a sales outlet, or even a non-designer pair that may be of interest to me? Number 4, Chanel is not taking the adequate steps necessary to lessen their carbon footprint and their environmental footprint. I'm gonna have a link down below to a website called goodonyou.eco, and this is in regards to Chanel. They talk about how they're not really taking the adequate steps needed to reduce textile waste in their supply chain. According to this website, Chanel has set an absolute target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions generated from its own corporations by 50% by 2030. And apparently there is no evidence it has taken any meaningful action to reduce or eliminate hazardous chemicals. There is no evidence it minimizes textile waste in its supply chain. Its labor rating is also not good enough. There is no evidence it investigates and reports on safety incidents. There is also no evidence it ensures payment of a living wage in its supply chain, and there is also no evidence it publishes supplier lists. It audits some of its supply chain, but does not state what percentage. Its animal rating was also given not good enough, as it does use leather, wool, exotic animal hairs, and silk. However, it does not use fur, exotic animal skin, or Angora. And for those reasons, this particular website has given Chanel's rating not good enough in comparison to a lot of other brands pushing the envelope, moving forward in a sustainable, positive way. This particular one is kind of 2 points. I'm gonna just label it as 1, but I personally think that, let's be honest, this is no secret, the Chanel quality and the service is lessening. However, the price is continuing to raise. And this is something that you're never gonna hear an essay say, okay? You're never gonna hear an essay try to sell a bag to you and be like,
oh hey, yes, this is a beautiful classic flat bag. You know, we no longer use gold plating, but it's still a really great bag, even though we have really reduced the quality and there's a lot of quality control issues. We're trying to cut costs, we're trying to cut corners here and there and get the best bang for our buck. But hey, it's a classic, so of course you need it in your life.
You're never gonna hear an essay say that to you, okay? Quality is lessening, the service is shite. Especially in this time, I think, where we've all realized, the world is making positive steps forward and making positive change to treat every human being, regardless of their skin color, their nationality, their race, their religion, their spiritual beliefs. Every human deserves to be treated equally and deserves to be treated with respect. I don't know if Chanel customer service has really gotten that memo. Maybe that email just got lost in cyberspace. Now look, last but not least, this particular secret isn't really fact, okay? It's just my own personal opinion. And that is that Chanel cares more about resellers than they do about you. I would like to see Chanel make some positive steps forward and put their customer first. I know it's a tricky, messy business that I'm going to wholeheartedly admit that I don't know the ins and outs. So if you do, and if you want to share your piece, drop it below. But I wish that there was some more steps put in place. I do think that the resale market, the Instagram seller market, I understand it's a business, I understand it's a job, but I do think it's getting a little bit out of control, especially when these resellers and these Instagram businesses do have a really great relationship. They have the insider connect with a particular SA, they have a bond with an SA, and they can get bags. They can get 1, 2, 3 of the same bag that is supposed to be allegedly so hard to get that your average customer like you and me cannot get, but these resellers have access to these SAs. They know when things are dropping. They have the insider goss. They will score not only one, not only two, sometimes three of these bags, these so-called hard to get bags. They will up their price, they will mark it up, and they will sell it on Instagram for an inflated price. At the end of the day, the bags are still selling. They don't care who it's getting sold to. They don't care if it's getting sold to a reseller that then sells it on to us for an inflated price. It doesn't really bother them, okay? It just means the products are harder to get. It creates more hype. It creates more angst. It creates more excitement. It creates more buzz. I'm gonna use this as an example. And some of you are gonna say, look, Caitlin, don't hate the player, hate the game. But this particular one, for me personally, as a average customer, was so hard to get. And this was marketed as so limited edition, so hard to get. Again, no hard feelings, no shade. The reseller that I got this from was able to pick up, I think like 3 of these. She was able to source 3 of these. You know, I'm all about rooting for the underdog and the little guy, and I really wish Chanel would be more on the side of the customer and really take that into consideration. I don't think that somebody should be able to buy 3 of these bags. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's just. Ending on that point, which is going to pee a lot of you off, let me know where you stand on that point, and not only that, all of them I've shared today. I really want to hear your opinions and your thoughts, whether or not you agree or disagree. I would really love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I'm going to have another one linked for you right here. If you haven't had enough of me just yet, and if you want to talk Chanel a little bit more, feel free to join me over in this video. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.